Hello, how's everybody doing?
Happy to see you.
Oh, thank you. Happy to see you. Okay, so this is going to be a special Tisha B'Av. So Tisha B'Av is, in translation, the 9th of Av. Av is the month of Leo, and the first 9 days of Leo are the culmination of the 3 weeks, the 3 negative weeks. It is always important to remind that when we're speaking about negative, we're talking about a polarity of energy. Negative is about receiving, positive is about sharing. So when we're speaking of a time that is negative, we are tuning, or our body consciousness tunes in naturally with that energy, with that polarity of being into ourselves. And so that is a time that is, I would say, more organically in tune with selfishness, with being reactive, being upset, judgmental, etc. Those are the times that we're in. And when we're speaking about the 3 weeks, although some of the days in the 3 weeks correspond to some historical events, what we want to focus on is the fact that this is a universal calendar when we speak of the Kabbalistic calendar. So we're not talking about an event or a cosmic event that is related to a historical event, but the historical event happened because specifically on the day, there was an appropriate energy that channeled this kind of energy. So when we're speaking about a time that is energy, likely the chance there are things that are happening during this time that are not very positive. So the culmination of the 3 weeks, and therefore the culmination of the 9 days, is the 9th day of Leo that we call Tisha B'Av. Tisha, the 9th B'Av of the month of Leo. And so this is the day, Tisha B'Av, the day where negativity has total dominion and where chaos can reign over the world and over all creation, anything that is created. I just, again, want to emphasize that, and I can emphasize that now even easier. I didn't know, by the way, there was such a place in the United States that is like over 120 degrees. I was shocked. I thought it was something wrong with, with my thermometer in the car. So we reached Palm Springs and it was already 110, and I was like, what, 110? And then I see the thing go up, 111, 112, 115, 117, and it doesn't stop. And we reached Scottsdale, I think, in Arizona, and it was like 119, 120. In the cool day, it was 112. So imagine, you go under the sun and like for like 30 minutes and you don't put like sun cream or something to protect your skin, and it's barbecue basically. And imagine, it's like, no exaggeration. I forgot my Crocs, sandals, Crocs, outside for like a couple hours. And when I remembered that I forgot them outside, so I went to get them, they shrunk. My Crocs shrunk from the heat. So imagine if my Crocs shrink from the heat, what would happen to the skin of an individual? And it doesn't matter how much cream you're gonna put. It's not normal. It's not normal. So I'm using this as an example for the spiritual energy. The spiritual energy, and this is why this time always falls around the same time, which is basically in the hottest time of summer, because spiritually the same thing happens. And the same thing happens in an energetical way, that if we don't create this positive, proactive, protective shield, we get burned. How do we get burned? Short circuit. What's the short circuit? We get reactive, we get upset, we get short fuse, where we get annoyed, etc. We get hurt easily. And I see it like not just with students, I see it with my kids, I see it with ourselves, with adults. It's incredible what's happening. And you just look what's happening in the world with all the wars, terrorist attack, hurricane in Latin America. All this is happening right now, like in the 9 days. So when we say like during the 9 days, we need to be like super careful. I've seen people that are like, experts in water sports, etc., that get into like silly accidents. And so those are times during the 9 days of Leo that the Kabbalists recommend not to eat meat and not to drink alcohol. Why? Because, we could understand in a sense, in a physical, biological way that, those two things, like draw more energy when you eat meat and when you drink alcohol. They are two nutrients that we consume that have a higher draw of energy. And so we avoid making the draw of that negative energy even worse by restricting eating meat and drink alcohol, at the exception of Shabbat, because Shabbat is the energy of mercy. And on the 9th day of Leo, which is the culmination of the 3 weeks, we actually not eat meat and drink alcohol, we actually fast. And so in this fast this year is going to fall on this Wednesday night, and is going to end on Thursday night after sundown. And so there are 5 restrictions that we are applying. No eating, no drinking, that's the fasting part. Not wearing leather shoes, because leather shoes energetically draw also negative energy. And not to engage in any sexual relationship. So for some of you, it's no restriction, but still, just so you know, no bathing or applying cream or lotion. So, you don't wake up like in the morning on Thursday and say, okay, now I need to smell good and whatever, like deodorant, or like you go to the I would say to the extreme of making sure that you don't give any comfort, any nourishment to the body. And when we do any of the 5 restrictions, that's actually giving comfort to the body. Why is it that we don't want to give any comfort to the body? Because the body is a magnet of desire to receive for the self alone. And we don't want to draw anything that is of desire to receive for the self alone on the 9th day of Leo, being the most negative day of the year. So as opposed to that, we are not doing any of the such 5 restrictions. On the contrary, we do spiritual connections. So we're not nurturing, feeding the body, we are nurturing, feeding the soul. So conversely, as much as somebody could draw the most negative energy in his life if you get upset, reactive on that day, if we are doing restriction and acts of sharing or study or connection on that day, that revelation of light would be exponentially endlessly more powerful than if we were to do it any other day of the year. Why? Because of the balance of energy. Wherever you have the most exposure of negativity, equally, you also have the ability to connect to the most positive energy of the year. And so this is why the Kabbalists are saying that when Messiah would be born, and we're not talking about a physical man that's going to be born on a white horse and is going to save humanity, it is a figure of speech. It is actually a metaphor that has been used for generations and thousands of years, that the coming of Messiah is actually an awakening of consciousness. And that awakening of positive consciousness would come when? When will it be born? It has to be born on the most negative day of the year. And so the birth of Messiah has to happen when? On Tisha B'Av, on the 9th day of Leo. And so on Wednesday night, there is a super powerful connection that is made, that is called the reading of Echa, the reading of the scroll of Echa that we read once a year during Tisha B'Av. And again, the reading of Echa, it's like you would say, it's the reading of lamentation. So if you will, this is like what you would read when somebody has passed. So you read that passage from the Zohar to elevate the soul. And so, in fact, when we're reading this scroll of Echa is infused with a lot of codes from the 72 names and different combinations of the Tetragrammaton, the Yud Kei Vav Kei. And so, in other words, again, we're using tools in order to draw this incredible, powerful, endless energy that is available on that day. If you would approach any other religious organization, they would say, this is a day of mourning. This is a day that we need to lament ourselves, that we need to cry for the destruction of the temple, the second temple, etc., etc. In the Kabbalah Center, from the Kabbalistic, from the spiritual perspective, it is a celebration. Yes, we need to play it low-key. We need to play it low-key because it is the most negative day of the year, but in our consciousness, we're infusing the seed of the most positive day of the year. This, in turn, as we're converting this negative energy, it has to become the most powerful and the most positive day of the year. That is speaking of the 9th of Av, the 9th day of Leo. Additionally, on Wednesday night, when we start the connection of Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Leo, until midday on Thursday, we sit on the ground. We don't sit on chairs, we don't sit on a couch or whatever. We're sitting on the ground. Why? We're sitting on the ground because we want to ground any type of negativity. So what does it mean, negativity? For each person, it is I would say, custom made. My negativity is not going to be the negativity of another individual. How is my negativity being expressed? It is being expressed when I'm feeling insecure. When I'm feeling insecure, I start, feel aggravated, or I start feeling victim, or blaming, or accusive, or getting into arguments, or things like that. And you can be worried or anxious for the future, or you can keep grudge for what people have done to you. And every time that somebody is going to say the name, it's going to awaken memories of what has happened like 20 years ago with this person, what this person has done to you like 15, 20 years ago. And it's like it happened like 5 minutes. This is negativity. And we are storing negativity with us as memories, and we carry them until they're not cleansed, until they're not purged from our system. So there are all sorts of techniques out there today with a lot of like self-help and a lot of workshops, Ho'oponopono and the Miracle Course and different other things, different breathing techniques and meditations that can help us release ourselves of negative memories, like psychology is using today, either meditation or even hypnosis. Some are going into like hypnosis, by the way, it is being used in hospital more and more to either for women giving birth or for people going into a full anesthesia so that the body is not going into a shock or whatever. Like it's being used more and more. But we need to know that the body stores memories. And even though the mind, has forgotten about it, the body doesn't forget about it. And so this is why when we are facing a certain situation that is completely unrelated to what happened 10 or 15 years ago, it is as if that situation or this individual triggered something that has been stored inside of us, and we're going to react basically passive aggressive or whatever to something that happened like 20 years ago, unrelated to what is happening right now, but exactly the same way. We're going to be reactive and upset and angry and taking things personal, whatever the reaction. Again, each person has his own negative cloud that we are keeping so dear, close to our heart. So this is what I'm speaking to about the idea of negative. I don't want us to go into like a negative. It's like a spiritual thing in the out there. No, this is actually very personal to us. We harbor, we hold, we store negativity with us day in and day out, year after year, month after month, generation after generation, because it says that when even the parents have not been successful at letting go of something that is unresolved, it is the children that inherit of that karma, of that tikkun. So this is why it's like, but we can also say conversely, we're also carrying the gifts of our ancestors. An ancestor that has, like a psychic abilities or being very intuitive, etc. So we don't just inherit the gifts of our ancestors. We also inherit, the karma that has been planted maybe 5 or 6 generations ago. And so this is why when we get into such cosmic events such as the 9 days and the 9th of Av, etc., it is an opportunity for us to, to release. So when we sit on the ground, we don't just sit on the ground because, some, bearded people, said we need to sit on the ground, because that makes us religious. We want to make sure that we have in our consciousness, we're actually sitting on the ground because it grounds on our negativity. And there are all the practices that one can do in different, different ways, but this is like one time during the year that we have that window in time, that we have this ability to ground this negativity and to relinquish, to let it go once and for all. Let me see what else. Yeah, any questions about the 9th of Av, the 9 days, negative energy?
I missed the beginning, Yehuda. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Is it this Wednesday, or is it starts from the first day you said of Leo?
Night after sundown until Thursday night after sundown.
Thank you. Okay.
Did you get a tan?
Did I have a tan? Yes.
Oh yes, very nice. Yay, vacation.
Thank you. The sun helps. The sun makes.
No, certainly helps. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
I'm sorry. So we stay positive, even though this is the negative time. We put.
It's a weird time.
Yes.
It's a very weird, strange, irrational. The people that are, especially like when it comes to our awareness that we know that this is happening, that it is a negative time, and therefore the worst out of people is coming out. So from our perspective, we are, I would say, in a better position because we know that it's happening. It's like, imagine, that outside is like 120 degrees. And so, I'm not going to go out without, putting some cream on, but everybody else doesn't know. Everybody else doesn't know. And so they go out and they party and they go barbecue and they go to the beach for like 6 hours, and then they come back and they're like burnt. And the way that people burn is when they get reactive, when they get upset at you, they send you like, erratic messages, emails, phone calls, people in the street, driving, protesters, and, destruction. This is the energy of destruction. It is the energy of destruction. And it doesn't make sense. So you see, like, without getting into the politics, but we have to get a little bit into the politics because this is what Satan wants. Satan wants to go into the politics because politics is like it's like juicy, like so much meat for Satan when he gets into the politics. So, like some of the people here on the line, they're like from St. Louis, and there is this couple that, that they were defending their home, right? So, okay, so we can get into like the whatever amendment, etc., to protect the home, etc. And then you have like one side of justice that says, you can't do that. So here you're condemned to, and then you have another side of justice that is like pardoning them. So you see, like this is like the two opposites. It's like the dark and the light in every instance. And sometimes the dark is like super intense and the positive is like more timid. The light is always there. It's just that it's so much harder to see it when it's so negative. And when it's like it doesn't make sense. What are you supposed to do? I'm not supposed to protect my house. Yeah, but then you can't. You can, but you can't. It's the time of confusion. And so, because we know that this is a time of confusion and this is a time that is completely irrational, don't get reactive. Don't fall into it. The reactive in you wants to get reactive. But because you have been into this spiritual quest for so long, it's like it needs to tilt in your head. Wait a second. Satan is trying to get a piece out of me. And I'm not going to let it. I have no clue. If I had weapons in the house and I was at the place of this couple, I don't know what I would have done. They broke into his house, into his property. They broke the gate. The next step is to get into his house and to set fire. Like, what do? You protect your house, but then you're risking to go to prison. What do? It's crazy times. And then people are, sending you like erratic messages and upset and angry. And what do? Do you explain yourself? Do you justify? Do you try to tell them it's not okay the way that they're speaking? And do you send back like a equal? No, you don't, because all of this is just an illusion. Like the day after Tisha B'Av, everything is going to feel so much lighter. Astrologically, it says that the first 15 days of every month, the energy is ascending. And then the second half of the month, when the moon is descending. So when the moon is ascending, the energy is going up. And then when the moon is descending, the energy is also going down. So this is why also, generally, when it's a positive day, especially in the first half of the month, it is good to make decisions, building, constructive, etc., etc. But when it's descending, it's like, the energy is descending. So you don't want to plant seeds when the energy is descending. You want to plant seeds when the energy is ascending, at the exception of the month of Leo. The month of Leo, the first part of the month, the first half of the month, the energy is descending. It's down the hill. Until the 15th of the month, that is known as Tu B'Av, which is the 15th of the month of Leo. That is the full, every 15th of the month in the astrological Kabbalistic calendar, it's the full moon. The new moon is always the first of the Kabbalistic month. So on the 15th of the month of Leo is the most positive day of the year. It's also Kabbalistically the ascension of the moon and the sun being equal. So astronomy would say that the moon is the closest to Earth on the 15th day of the month of Leo. So energetically, those two energy that represent the 1% and the 99%, they're equal, they're one. And so this is why the 15th of the month of Leo is when the ascension begins, and at the seed level, it's the most powerful. So we need to know those things, because if we don't know, then we miss an opportunity to be protected, and we miss an opportunity to connect. So that connection is going to be on the 15th of the month of Leo. We're the 6th of the month of Leo, so it's in 9 days. And the 9th day of Leo, the first 9 days are negative, but the 9th day of Leo is the culmination of all the negativity of the year. So on that day, we lay super low. We lay super low. If you can, avoid the traveling or things like that. Definitely don't do anything dangerous, any water sports or things like that, anything that could endanger anybody else. So wherever there is like a risk for accident, avoid it. Like even be careful like going down the stairs. I'm extra careful when I'm going down the stairs. Anything that is like potential for accidents with anybody else, I'll be extra careful. Okay, what else?
Thank you, Yehuda.
Of course. What else? Any other question?
You may have mentioned this, but is there a specific meditation that we should be saying that day, or a certain section to scan or something?
I mean, there are meditations, but it's mostly for those that are doing the prayer, the Amidah, etc. So it's, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Anything else? Are we good? Take away, lay low. And good luck to us. Thank you, everybody. And we'll be speaking again on Monday.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you.